Welcome back to Money Exchange. Joining me from our Sydney City studio is senior currency dealer at AFEX, David Greene. David, thanks so much for your time this evening. We saw Glenn Stevens say just do it earlier this week, or late last week I should say, and then we saw Janet Yellen just in the last 24 hours say it was likely appropriate. What are your thoughts about the US interest rate position at the moment? Are we going to see a rate increase before Christmas, and are we likely to see some more pricing in of that expectation in the Aussie dollar?
Yeah, good evening, Andrew. I mean, I think we're probably all on the same page in terms of what we think the Fed is going to do. Certainly from our perspective, you would say that the Fed is going to engender some form of rate hike prior to year end. I mean, Janet Yellen is a wordsmith when it comes to managing market expectations, and reading her commentary from this morning's speech, it was very much it was quite confusing at some stage, but ultimately she was just saying that we do expect it to her to make a rate move before year end. Then I suppose she conversely contradicted that by saying if the economy does something that they weren't expecting, then they're all likelihood that may sway their decision. So I think if everything else holds, then we should see the US hike towards the year end. Probably not in October, but certainly by December.
I think we saw Ms Yellen have to call for emergency services after her speech today. She wasn't drinking enough water, apparently. But tell us a little bit about, David, what big businesses are doing at the moment with their Aussie dollar hedging. Are they still anticipating that this time next year we're going to see a weaker currency, or are they sort of thinking around the 70-cent mark might pull it up?
Yeah, look, that's a really interesting question, and it's interesting because there's probably two perspectives that big business look at. It's what they think will happen versus what they want to happen. And so certainly from an importing perspective, a lot of our clients want the Aussie up at 73 to 75. And realistically, probably the fundamentals at this stage aren't really too supportive of the Aussie anywhere further north, in my opinion, of that 73 mark. And in terms of probably what will happen, certainly we would suggest that the Aussie be well below that 70 handle, and in and around sort of the mid-60s in, say, the next 12 months. So in terms of then how that is translating into the actions of big business, a lot of our businesses have a lot of big business have underlying traditional hedging in place. So what we are seeing now is to complement that underlying hedging, some sort of strategic sort of outperformance trades that I suppose enabling sort of those importing clients to look to try and, I suppose, complement that, as I said, that underlying hedge. So, in a sense, being a little bit more strategic when the Aussie ticks up, and certainly there were some benefactors of that during the week with the or late last week with the Aussie higher.
All right, David, let's take a couple of quick questions from the viewers. Chris in Sydney asks us tonight, what is your end-of-year price target for the Aussie dollar? Over to you, David.
Price target for the Aussie dollar, and this is under the big assumption that the US Federal Reserve will begin their interest rate hiking program, and so we would then see the Aussie dollar being in and around the sort of the 68, 67 mark by year end.
Okay, now we have an email from a viewer who asks, will the Aussie dollar rise if China injects a big stimulus? Interesting.
Yeah, look, that's a great question. It's certainly the Aussie dollar will undoubtedly benefit from some stimulus from China. I mean, they're our largest trading partner. We saw the huge stimulus that they injected in 2008, 2009, and Australia was certainly one of the biggest benefactors of that. Our broader economy certainly was. So very much cushioning us from the woes of the rest of the developed world. In terms of what it would mean, though, for our local economy, look, it would be very hard to, I suppose, look to forecast potentially where that might lead the currency. I think if China announces some form of stimulus, you'll get a knee-jerk reaction from the market, which will be positive. So we should see an immediate uptick in the Aussie dollar. Once the dust settles, though, and I suppose we get a little bit more of an understanding around what the terms of any potential stimulus for China will be, then we'll probably get more of an idea around where the Aussie will be.
David, always appreciate your thoughts. And by the way, mate, I love the bow tie. It's a great look for a Friday.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks so much. After the break, I'll share with you my big currency mover and I'll give you the chance to win $500 cash. Don't go away.